Coco Gauff was absolutely on fire in Madrid last year. She dismantled Iga Swiatek 6-1, 6-1 in the semifinals, one of the most dominant performances you'll ever see from any player on any surface. She went all the way to the final, only losing to Aryna Sabalenka. 650 ranking points banked. World number 3 secured. It felt like the beginning of something special for the American teenager. Fast forward to this year's Madrid Open, and the story couldn't be more different. Gauff walked in as a title contender. She walked out in the round of 16, beaten by Linda Noskova, a result that stunned the tennis world and cost her the world number 3 ranking to the very same Iga Swiatek she had demolished 12 months earlier. And now, one of the most respected voices in women's tennis, former Serena Williams coach Rennae Stubbs, has come out and said exactly what a lot of people were thinking but weren't willing to say out loud. Coco Gauff lost that match herself. Let that sink in for a second. Rennae Stubbs isn't just some pundit sitting behind a microphone throwing opinions around. She's a former doubles world number 1. She has coached Grand Slam champions. She understands, at the deepest level, what separates the players who close out matches from the ones who let them slip. And on her podcast, she broke down Gauff's loss in a way that was honest, detailed, and honestly a little painful to hear if you're a Coco Gauff fan. Here's how the match actually went. Gauff lost the first set. Fine, it happens. But then she came roaring back, winning the second set 6-1. 6-1. Complete domination. And she carried that momentum straight into the deciding third set, racing out to a 4-1 lead. She was winning almost every single game at that point. The match was hers. The crowd could feel it. Noskova could feel it. Everything pointed to Gauff closing this out in routine fashion and moving on to the quarterfinals. And then something shifted at 4-1. Serving to move within 2 games of victory, Gauff started making decisions that didn't make sense. Shot selection that left you asking why. Choices that gave Noskova life when Noskova should have had nothing left to hold on to. And Stubbs was watching every single moment of it unfold. And she wasn't buying the idea that this was just a bad patch or a temporary blip. She was direct about it. Gauff dropped the ball. Not physically, not because she ran out of energy, but mentally and tactically at the exact moment when the match required her to be at her sharpest. But here's what made it worse. It wasn't just the shot selection. It was what Gauff was showing on her face, in her body language, in the way she was carrying herself between points. The frustration was visible. The negativity was pouring out. And Stubbs explained why that is such a dangerous thing to do, specifically against a player like Linda Noskova. Noskova hits the ball through you. She's the kind of opponent who feeds on any sign that her opponent is cracking. The moment you show her doubt, she takes it, she runs with it, and suddenly you're the one on the back foot. Gauff, by letting her emotions show, handed Noskova exactly the fuel she needed to come back from an impossible position and steal the match. And even then, even after all of that, Gauff still had a chance. The match went to a tiebreak in the third set. And in that tiebreak, Gauff was leading. She was right there. One good passage of play, and this whole story ends differently. But the poor decision-making that had crept in at 4-1 followed her all the way into the tiebreak, and she couldn't close it out. Noskova took it. Match over. Stubbs made a point that deserves a moment of real attention. She said the coaches have an opportunity in these moments. An opportunity to step in, to say something, to make an adjustment. Because what Gauff needed at 4-1 in the third wasn't a tactical overhaul. It was someone in her corner recognizing that the mental side of the match was slipping and doing something about it before it was too late. Whether that conversation happened or not, the result speaks for itself. Now let's talk about what was happening off the court during this Madrid campaign, because it adds a layer to this story that you absolutely cannot ignore. A stomach virus was circulating through the Madrid locker room. Iga Swiatek, the world number 2, was hit so hard by it that she had to retire mid-match against and Lee in the third round, unable to continue. When someone of Swiatek's fitness and mental toughness has to walk off the court because of illness, you know this virus was serious. And Gauff wasn't spared. During her match against Sorana Cirstea, Gauff was down a set and a break when she suddenly rushed to the side of the court and was visibly sick. Not a little dizzy, not feeling slightly off. She was physically unwell in front of the entire crowd. She called for medical timeout. The match looked like it might be over before it really started. Most players in that situation, dealing with a stomach bug, down a set, and a break, would mentally check out. The body is telling you to stop. The scoreboard is telling you it's over. Gauff didn't check out. She came back and won the match. That comeback showed a side of Gauff that often gets overlooked in the conversation about her mental fragility, the ability to fight through genuinely difficult circumstances and find a way. She was sick, she was losing, and she still won. So when people start writing her off entirely based on the Noskova loss, that context matters. She was running on something less than full capacity throughout this tournament. When she arrived in Rome for the Italian Open, journalists wanted to know how she was feeling after everything that happened in Madrid. And Gauff's answer was refreshingly straightforward. She took 3 days off after her last match. Her first practice back felt completely normal. She said it felt like nothing had happened physically. The illness that knocked Swiatek out of the tournament entirely had fully cleared for Gauff within a couple of days. But she also acknowledged that the 48 to 72-hour window in Madrid was genuinely strange. She wasn't fully herself, and she pointed out that even while not feeling 100%, she had her chances against Noskova. She had the match, which only makes the loss sting more, because it means the illness isn't the explanation. If she had chances while sick and still lost, the issue goes deeper than a stomach bug. And that's exactly the question that Rennae Stubbs raised, the one hanging over Gauff's entire clay season right now. Because Gauff isn't just heading into the Italian Open fresh. She's heading in with another 650 ranking points to defend. Points she earned by winning the title in Rome last year. Which means if she doesn't go deep, she loses more ground in the rankings. More pressure, more expectations, more scrutiny. And beyond Rome is Roland Garros, where Gauff is the defending champion. She won the French Open. She owns that title. But Stubbs said it plainly. The confidence is not there. The question marks are very real. And the path through both Rome and Paris is loaded with opponents who will punish every moment of hesitation. Let's look at what the Italian Open draw could look like for Gauff. She received a first-round bye, so her campaign opens in the second round against Teresa Valentova. Clear that, and a potential third-round clash with Emma Raducanu awaits. A match that would carry enormous public attention and would be anything but straightforward given where both players are in their form. In the fourth round, fellow American Iva Jovic could be waiting. Then Mira Andreeva in the quarterfinals. The same Andreeva who just reached the Madrid final and is playing some of the best tennis of her young career. And if Gauff somehow navigates through all of that, the semifinal could bring her face-to-face with Aryna Sabalenka, the world number one, the player who beat her in the Madrid final last year, and arguably the most dangerous player in the world right now, on any surface. A potential final against Elena Rybakina would complete what might be the hardest path through a draw you could possibly construct for someone who needs to rebuild confidence. This is the mountain in front of Coco Gauff right now. Everything she's built over the past 12 months. The ranking, the reputation as a clay court force, the identity as a Grand Slam champion, is now being tested in real time. The losses are piling up in places they shouldn't. The emotional control that defines the great champions is showing cracks at the worst possible moments. And the people who know this sport best aren't sugarcoating it anymore. But here's the thing about Coco Gauff that you have to hold on to. She is 20 years old. She has already won a Grand Slam. She has already produced one of the great individual performances of recent memory when she dismantled Swiatek 6 and won 6 and won in Madrid last year. She pushed through a stomach illness and won a match when everything was telling her to give up. The talent is not in question. The ceiling is not in question. What's being tested right now is whether she can build the mental armor that turned a great young player into a consistent champion. Rome starts now. The answers start now. And whether Gauff can silence the doubts, including the ones coming from within her own corner, is the most compelling storyline heading into the final stretch of the clay season.